Hello? Nikireduce haifiki mwisho, lakini haifiki mwisho. So nireduce kabisa. All right, welcome again. It's good to be back. Sorry for that small hitch. Again, my names are Russell Ochieng, and I'm privileged at the moment to be working as the project manager for agricultural outreach with an organization called Creation Stewards International at the Rift Valley. called Creation Stewards International. And we deal mostly in reaching out to poor and vulnerable communities with on-ground practical strategies that not only build their soils and improve their environments, but also gives them an opportunity to combat all the problems that they face within their ecosystems or environments. And so it's a pleasure to come your way. I am a former student of the University of Nairobi. So for the Nairobi guys, you're all welcomed. I'm told that we have people from Niger, people from other countries apart from Kenya. You are all welcomed. It is truly a pleasure to have all of you here. And I trust that we will be having a wonderful session today. So my session is in two parts. I have been privileged to work in different places of this continent, Africa, and even beyond. I have done a bit of work in Tanzania, and I've done also a bit of work in Uganda, in Ireland, and also in Kenya. Cumulatively, I have an experience in agriculture and environmental matters of over 13 years. I'm married with 2 children. Don't let the face lie to you. I'm not that young. All right, so I'm grateful that we've done the questions, for those of you who have done the questions, and I will dive right into my presentation today. So if we should go to our first slide, I want to relate environmental issues to a cancer. Now, many of us, when we hear about cancer, we know that it is a killer disease that is slow acting. And for many people, they may not know it until it is at a life-threatening stage. By the time somebody is diagnosed with cancer, it is already at stage 3 or 4 onwards, and problems have begun. Our environmental wars are the same. They are creeping slowly into areas that we feel, that we feel have no problem, and it seems as though so many of us do not even know that we have an environmental crisis ongoing. And by the time we now begin to face our problems, it has been over years that these things have been happening. And so, let me take us through, for this first part, a few of the lookouts of what is going on. And so, we are a Christian organization, and so I will be using a bit of scriptural references to just bring out some of these points. Now, the environment is your surrounding. The environment is what you thrive in. And whether it is good or bad, that is where you're living in. And whatever affects it affects you directly. And so as we spend time, we will try and look at some of the macro problems and then minimize them to our micro problems that are facing us, and then slowly begin to look for strategies, practical strategies that you and I can use in order to alleviate or be resilient under such circumstances. And so I'll look at my first slide. I'll be casting my talk on slides, and so I will look at my first slide. Now, if I should ask a question, for those of you who, I don't know how many of you have ever been around Kenya, that picture there, can somebody tell me where that picture was taken? I normally like to start with this one. Can somebody tell me where that first picture was taken? Anyone? Yes, Clinton. I can't hear you, Clinton, please. I can. All right, Clinton, please say. So Clinton is saying from Turkana. Somebody else? I see Machakos. Along at the river. Okay. Somebody else? Soita? Northeastern parts of Turkana. Okay. Somebody else who can try? Yes, Brian. Outskirts of Nairobi County. I think Brian. So Brian is right. And it's interesting when you look at it, it's easy for you to think that this is northeastern, the arid and semi-arid areas. But amazingly, the problem has spread and it is right at our doorstep, just outside Nairobi. So this is after Mlolongo, for those of you who have been to Nairobi. It's a stretch right there of the Lukenya region. And actually, there's a university that is right in that dry area. Anyone who can tell me what university that is? Or maybe we have students from. All right, so that's where Daystar is. And so this picture just tells you that the problems we used to think are in northeastern of Kenya or in the arid and semi-arid areas has crept all the way to Nairobi. Now, for those of you who know the mappings of our country, the food basket of Kenya is limited to the lake region and the mountainous regions and parts of Nairobi. And so the problem is spreading. If I should postulate maybe 20 or 30 years ahead, I can propose that the problems that we used to see in northeastern will be the problems we will be seeing in Nairobi if something does not happen. So there is an environmental crisis that is spreading like a cancer. And so it is important for us to discuss these matters and begin to apply practical strategies. And this is one thing I normally say. It is not your government to help you. It is you to take initiatives, practical strategies that will help us in the near future. All right, going down my slides, I want to list some major environmental problems for us that will begin to guide our discussions as we go forward. I am highlighting a few of the environmental wars that we are facing. It is important for you and I to see and understand these things. And for those of you who will be coming out of school and preparing to do and engage in different activities, maybe this will awaken you to some of the most important activities to really engage in. All right. So problem number one is environmental pollution. And we look at them in four ways. So there is air pollution, water pollution, land pollution, and noise pollution or sound pollution. Secondly, we have environmental degradation and depletion. So you're looking at matters to do with ozone depletion and the greenhouse effect, the reduction of carbon, the increase of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere due to the loss of the ozone layer that ends up causing temperatures to rise. When those temperatures rise, the water towers that are on the hill caps begin to melt, and we are losing our water quantities as they rise in the sea. All right, so environmental waste is the third one. The fourth one is climate change, which is global warming. And I think many of us have heard about climate change. Then we have natural disasters, biodiversity losses, the loss of habitats, the loss of flora and fauna, the loss of the varieties of animals within certain habitats. Then we have deforestation and desertification, and overpopulation and over-extraction of resources. Then we have cultural pollution and human-induced disaster. That last one, I want to believe, was addressed in some way in your previous presentations. And so we'll continue. Let me look at population growth as one of the problems in our environment. Now, for our friends from Niger, I'll request that you try and relate some of the stuff we are talking about, but we will look in the context of Kenya. All right, so in the 1950, the land mass of Kenya, which remains at 580,370 square kilometers, was holding 6 million people. And if they were to split the whole of Kenya equally, everyone would get 9.6 hectares. But as years went by and population increased, the land sizes per person began to shrink. And by 2023, we are now in 2025, with a population of 55 million, each person would get 1.03 hectares. Now, here is the problem. We are splitting the whole land equally in proportion to the population. We are not looking at the resources. But if this was true, and we are splitting it equally, many of us would not look for Turkana or Marsabit. Many of us would be fighting for Nairobi. And because that is what is happening, even now, the land mass per person is less than quarter an acre as we speak right now. Now, let me just ask, for those of you who are in school or young, how many of you does your family have 1 acre and above as their communal land? And when I'm talking of family, I mean your nucleus family. So your father owns 1 acre and above. Now, if you are 5 of you in your family, What will 1 acre look like when now your father begins to split it to you? Now, you will ask me, how is this a problem? Population gives pressure to the natural existing resources. As population increases, the natural resources do not increase, and it creates a demand on them that boils over into pressure. And so not just use, but also misuse begins to become a problem. There is overuse of a singular land until its capacities are degraded and its fertility is brought down, just because the limited resource is being overused. Now, I've talked about land for a minute, and because most of us are coming from farming communities, look at the next slide. What is the state of agriculture? As the population increases and available land for agriculture shrinks, what happens to our food and productivity? We begin to fight over the resources. And now we begin to overuse and misuse the land that God gave us. And as we overuse our land, look at the next slide. Crop yields begin to decrease. Now, I have always asked these questions in some of the trainings we've had. There are some of you, probably some of you are 20 years old, and maybe you never lived in the village. But for those of you who lived in the village, would you tell us, or would you let us know that what your farm used to produce? Or maybe let me ask this. If you are a farmer or you've been farming in your home, can you tell me how many bags of maize does your land produce currently? I see Soita lifting his hand. Soita, can you tell me per acre? Okay, so somebody in Machakos University, please tell me. So you get 20 bags. Is that per acre? Yeah, I'm asking, is that per acre? Where is that in particular? Where is that? Hello? That is in Siaya County. Are you very sure? Are you very sure that you have those good seasons? Interesting. On average, the average maize farmer in Kenya gets 5 bags of 100 kgs per acre. And that speaks of the environmental problem of land degradation. Most of our natural resources are degrading due to pressure on the land, overpopulation, and many other factors that we will be talking about. Let me go down the slide a bit on the state of agriculture and as we talk of land in the country. Now, as pressure increases on the land, and more land is needed for farming. People go into hillsides and forests and into all the other natural resources and try and make a living out of them. That is the misuse of the resources that we were given. And when you look at that slide there, people are farming on hillsides. And I can tell you, we have people even here in this session whose homes and families are actually farming on hillsides, because the land has become poor on the lower plains. The overuse of land has degraded the land. What is the natural reaction? We go uphill. We go into forests. We clear forests, and we are looking for more space to continue doing our farming. Now, when we clear the hillsides, when it rains, what happens downhill? All the soil, all the silt from the hillside comes down very fast, leaving the hillsides bare. Without trees, we are in problems. Trees help us with relief rainfall. Trees are a great player in availing atmospheric moistures, that is rain. And so as we cut down the trees in search of new land because of increased population and land degradation, we find ourselves in a situation where now we have no rains. We have bare soils, bare hillsides, no more droughts, meaning no rains. And even when the rains come down, they do not filter. The right word is sequester. Much of the water runs off and comes down as mud and water downhill. And so our environmental problems begin to be compounded, begin to multiply and escalate. Now, let's go down a bit. And so the more land is degraded and more land is needed and more forests are cleared or trees are deforested, we find that land becomes bare. As it becomes bare, that also adds to our problems. Fewer animals are seen. Many of us will remember, maybe my generation, will remember that we used to have the brown eagle hawk. Let me use Swahili, mwewe. The brown eagle hawk that used to fly and swoop down and pick chicken. I would encourage you, when these sessions are over, just to walk out and look to the skies and tell me how many of those you can count. Because we've cut down tall trees, and these particular birds prefer nesting in tall trees, their habitat is lost and the land becomes bare. So as population increases, pressure is put on the natural resources. The land is overused and more land is needed. And as we continue cutting down forests, we are losing our birds, we are losing water, rain, and we are losing organic matter. And we continue to lose it further and further, to the point where now we begin to talk about food crisis. And so I will look at slide 11. And you will notice, I want to show you something there. Look at that slide. It's a map of Kenya with different pigmentations. The area that is considered food secure is what is called the arable land of Kenya, the farmable land. And you will notice it spreads from Mount Elgon, around Lake Victoria, through the Mau forests and the ranges, all the way to Nairobi and just above Nairobi. That is the food secure area. People living around there only get to see pictures of dead animals. But as I said, as I began, the cancer is spreading, and it is spreading fast. Very soon it will be knocking to your doorstep. So the pink area is a bit around the arable land, and they're going towards the coastal area, Garissa, and to the northwest of Kenya. Now think about it. These are moderately food insecure. When we talk of food insecurity, we are talking about the amount and quality of food. The amount and quality. And so when we say someone is food secure or an area is food secure, it means they have enough food that is nutritious enough. So quantity and quality. Some people can have quantity, but it is maize and beans, and does not fully satisfy their nutritional needs. Or some people can have nutrition, but not in the right quantities. And so we say insecure. Now look at the tan area, spreading all the way from Lodwar, Turkana, down to Mount Kilimanjaro. And these are areas that are considered insecure. But I would have you know, as of last year, we were experiencing droughts in Nyeri and Meru, and food aid had to be sent to places where we never thought we would hear of hunger. And so the cancer is spreading. And as it continues to spread, it puts us in a cycle of problems. Slide 13 will show you a picture of that. It puts us in a cycle of problems. So there is no rain, lands are degraded, trees are cut down, droughts begin to take center stage. 2023, we had 5 droughts of varying intensity. 2024, we had 5 again. This year, as we speak right now, we are already in a drought. And as the droughts continue to hit, what happens? Look at that slide again. Low crop yields. And as soon as we have low crop yields, hunger sets in. We enter a situation of chronic food insecurity. And then all of a sudden we are crying for relief. And so as we speak right now, Kenya has since 2023 been tied down in a cycle of food insecurity and relief. A cycle of food insecurity and relief. As I am speaking right now, the guys in Laikipia, can you tell me, when was the last rain in your area? I'm waiting for our guys in Laikipia. Sunday last week. Before that, when did you get rain? Pardon, I didn't get you there. Last year, December. And so if I came to your campus right now, it would be as dry as it was in January. That one rain did practically nothing. The guys from Niger, how are the rains playing at your place? And so from now till hopefully September, you guys will not be having rain. From now, so your expected rain is June. Wow. Wow. All right. Now, let me ask the guys from Niger, how are your forests? Does anyone know the forest cover in Niger? Oh, you have no forests. You have only savanna. Wow. Wow. Ah, yes. Wow, interesting. And so for you, water and rain is a very expensive resource. Wow. 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 Well, interesting. Now, for the guys in Kenya, that would be a very strange one. Some don't even know what savanna looks like. But let me take a few more steps. Let me show you why we are having some of these problems. Let me cast slide 17. Let me just show you why. Look at that picture. This photo was taken when we were having one of our excursions around the eastern parts of our country. And we met this gentleman in the bush cutting down that tree. And his idea was to cut it down to make charcoal. Now you'll notice that we have the second generation standing right there, learning from the older generation. And the whole family was here cutting down this tree. Now, by experience, a tree that size, you need like 3 of them to make one sack of charcoal. And now you will be selling that tree or 3 of those trees at 1,500 farm gate price. Would you rather leave it or will you cut it down? Now this is a question for all of us. Will you rather leave the tree and improve your ecosystems and climate and environment, or would you cut it down and use it? Can somebody please give me an answer? Somebody please give me an answer. Maybe somebody from Machakos University. Because this one in particular is at their home. It's a home ground activity. Machakos, anyone from your side, would you cut it down, or would you, or if you had found this, if you are the one who had found this person?
University is saying that they would just leave it.
So I'm asking you that question to ask you this question.
Uh-huh.
Do you use charcoal in your home?
Do we use? Some are saying yes, some are saying no.
Most of the people who are saying no are very guilty. If you are using charcoal, your party, you've been cutting trees. If you're buying charcoal, you've been cutting trees. And so in the next few, I will want us to begin to discuss on a few of the few strategies of what we can do. Ideally, I wanted us to see that we have a problem. Our environment is breaking down, and it is breaking down because of our activities. All of a sudden, running from overpopulation, use and misuse of the limited resources that we have is putting pressure on our environment. And when the environment begins to collapse, everything about our livelihoods continues to collapse. Everything about our livelihoods continues to collapse. Many of you will agree with me. Some of the rivers in our villages that used to be annual continuous rivers have now turned to be dry rivers or seasonal rivers. Many of you will agree with me that the old indigenous trees that we used to pride ourselves in, some that were very medicinal, some that were for beauty, are no longer can be found. They've been replaced with the exotic trees like eucalyptuses and gravelias. Many of us can agree with me that some of the birds that we used to see are no longer there. If you ask someone now, can you see the gray-crowned peacock or the gray-crowned peacock, the secretary birds? Many of us cannot even identify them. Let me ask a question to someone in Laikipia. Well, maybe not Laikipia, but is anyone from Laikipia in Laikipia University? Anyone from Laikipia in Laikipia University? Anyone? Or I should give this test to the guys in Niger. Can anyone in Niger, as we prepare with the Laikipia guys, can anyone in Niger count for me in their mother tongue 10 indigenous trees? I may not understand those names, but please count for me 10 indigenous trees in your mother tongue. I can see they have also gone silent. Anyone in Laikipia, from Laikipia University? Sorry, anyone in Laikipia University from Laikipia. I need you, or let me work with the guy from Siaya. Oh, Mary Sharon. Okay, you tell us.
Yes, from Laikipia, we have 1 year.
Number
One gentleman, one.
hello.
Yes.
Okay, Mary Sharon from Laikipia. Number one,
Okay.
in Luo, Olocho, Mukuyu.
In Luo.
Oh no. Yeah, in the Luo.
You have Mukuyu in Luo. All right, please continue. Just continue.
Ombasa. Luciola. Murembe. Nyamumba. Na I think I only know those ones.
So those are 6.
Yeah.
But Mukuyu is more a Luya name. There's a name for the Mukuyu tree in Luo. All right, somebody else? The guys from Niger, do you know your trees in the local trees in their local language?
That's Ngau in the Luo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? So we'll be taking a short break almost about here, and then we will. So I'm waiting for the guys from Niger. I need a count on. Pardon?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, from the University of Nairobi. Yeah,
All right.
I'm Emma. Now, I need to name those indigenous trees in my local language.
I know some of you have already written them down to name them. Okay, now, right. Read.
Right. Anyway, in Kisii language,
Okay.
Moringamu. Are you getting me?
I am getting you. Please continue.
Mukaviri. Omosocho.
All right. So 3. It's interesting. So we are losing our indigenous forests. We are losing the birds in the air. That is not only the only things that are happening. We are also losing fish in the sea. The sea is becoming the dumping site for plastic. We are losing the natural resources. And as the resources continue to fail, I want to look at slide 29. As the resources continue to fail, we begin to face domestic problems.
Hello, sir.
They begin to affect us. Somebody's talking from Niger.
Yes, sir. Please, can you repeat the question again?
All right, I was looking for somebody from Niger to name for me indigenous trees in their local language, 10 of them.
10. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we should write them down and send it to you.
Not write them down. I was hoping you could mention them.
Okay, so
So as you continue to discuss,
the neem tree. We have neem tree.
no, that is English in your mother tongue.
Okay, Vedi.
All right.
We have Amia, Lumnia, and what? And Kanya.
Good. Those are 10. I think you guys should be getting some points there. Maybe Ian can think about it. It will amaze you that we have so many people who do not know indigenous trees in their mother tongue. One thing I have discovered, if you do not know the name of a thing, you have no personal relationship with it. All right, so slide 29. Let me do this story and then we will take a short, I'll invite Ian a bit. But this is the Rift Valley in Kenya, a particular place that I work in. You will notice that there are no trees for a very long distance. And so these women have to walk a whole day to look for firewood. And one of those bundles is almost 50 to 70 kgs. Now you'll notice there's a gentleman there walking with a cutlass. He is the security. Why? Because as they go to look for this firewood, other community members are also looking for the same firewood, and they are constantly fighting. So as the environment degrades, it not only affects our water, our trees, our animals, our land, it also affects our social structures. And we begin to fight for the limited resources. And not just fight, but it also affects our health. Now, let me go down slide 30. You will see one of the ladies up close carrying a bundle. Now, can anyone, I just want one who is sharp. Can anyone tell me how old that lady is? Anyone? Take a guess. I just love the people from Niger. Can somebody in Niger tell me how old that woman is? Okay, Felix Omondi, tell me.
Around 70.
Around 70? Okay. Somebody from Niger?
And 80.
80. Beneza says that's 50. Okay, so let me shock you. That lady is 34 years old. I don't know if I can even be able to zoom that picture, but that lady is 34 years old. And because of hard work and hard labor, that is how life can get you. And so environmental problems are not just matters of discussion on high panels of climate change and United Nations environmental programs. They're affecting your mother. They're affecting your sister. They're affecting you. And if we do not address them, we will we'll find ourselves in a cycle of problems. In a cycle of problems. Let me show you another slide. Just go down a bit, slide 31. So when we were taking that picture, they were just coming up the hill. That lady fainted. And it took almost half an hour to revive her. Sorry for bringing that picture, but I normally like to show what is actually happening on a daily basis. On a daily basis. Let me show you another picture. Slide 37. This is the picture of the northern parts of Kenya. And this is almost like the poster card for Kenya. People who are not Kenyans mostly see this picture of dead cows. The environment is breaking down. Slide 39. You will see the same thing.
Just slides.
All right, look at that slide.
7 pages too.
Dead animals, degraded grazing lands. And then when you have a lot of rain in the hillsides and it is coming down heavy, flooding the lower parts of the now that we've cleared the forests, especially forests on hillsides. Slide 42. That is what happens in Eldoret when it rains on the hills. For those of you coming from Eldoret, this is not a foreign picture. So imagine that young man who has just come out of school, he's hustling in Eldoret, has just bought a mattress and has put it on the floor and sleeping at the base of a hill. And then all of a sudden, without any rain, wakes up floating on his mattress. And when he gets out of the house, it is all wet. Think about it. Think about it. Let me jump to slide 48. This is a true picture of what is happening in Kenya as we speak. That is the water people are drinking. There's no more rain. Droughts are all over. Water has to be shared by humans and animals. And it is becoming worse and worse. So what am I saying? Environmental issues are personal issues. They affect you. They affect your neighbor. It is not just a government thing. It is affecting you. Right from population increase, putting pressure on the environment, on the land sizes becoming smaller and being overused, they degrade. Trees are disappearing. Animals are disappearing. Food is disappearing. Human beings go into conflicts with one another. Their health becomes poor. And you can see there is need to address some of these issues. So as I bring in Ian, I want you to begin to think about what you can do as a person in view of all that you have seen, whether in Kenya, in Nigeria, Tanzania, or wherever you are. In view of what you have seen, what can you do? What are the practical steps that you can take that can bring a change to you? All right, Ian will be with us in a short while. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell, for that interesting. Let's clap for Russell. Thank you. You can see the different university showing the emoji, and it's quite an interesting one. Thank you so much, Machakos University, Nairobi. I know Mwaka, now I need your help, Mwaka. I want us to project the scoreboard, and we will be able to see which university is leading in terms of the scoreboard. I know that we are awarding marks for participation for the students that are participating from which university, their marks that have been awarded to those students. So, ladies and gentlemen, it will be very, very important for you to be able to participate as a university, ask questions, and I can see there's somebody's hands who's up. I can see there's someone by the name of, who is this? The hand is up. I'll take questions. Mwaka, prepare. We're coming to you next because we will be getting the scoreboard. But I know you guys have a lot of questions, but I'll encourage you also to type your questions on the chat box as we continue, so that we will be able to also to be able to share with them and also share with Russell, so that as he winds up, he's coming back again. But as he winds up, you can be able to answer and address some of your questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mwaka, are you there? Mwaka?
Yes, Ian, I'm here.
Mwaka?
Yes. Can you hear me here?
Yes, I can hear you. Are you able to project the scoreboard, or you can share with me? I can project.
I'm sharing it right now so that you can project. It's already with you. He has already shared with you, Ian.
Okay, let me see the scoreboard, how we are doing as far as this is concerned. We have the scoreboard that Mwaka has shared with me. I shall be able to see which university is leading as far as the core values are concerned. So in a few, I will be sharing with you. And we also have, oh my goodness. Wow, this is interesting. Where? Okay, guys. So I can see we have the scoreboard Mwaka has shared with me, and this is quite interesting to see how the different universities are participating. So I would project first. First of all, I want to read, then I'll project. We are a total of, let's say, counties, we are 6 in Kenya, and country, we are 1 in Niger. And I have the scoreboard for the whole team. Now, I will be projecting it, but in position 7, give it up for which county? Which county do you think is number last? Which county or country? Niger. Can you guess? Let Niger guess as they look at this, as they look at Laikipia. I know they're very, very tough. Niger, can you guess which county here in Kenya seems to be lagging behind?
Which county do you think is the last? Ajitukana.
Hey, Machakos.
Which one do you think? Nairobi. Nairobi.
Okay, Niger. Thank you, Machakos. Machakos are saying Nairobi. Let's hear from Niger.
Niger is also saying Nairobi.
Oh my goodness, Nairobi. Hey, okay. Laikipia, which country do you think is lagging behind? Laikipia, which county do you think? Laikipia, guys.
Nairobi.
Hey, Nairobi. Let's hear from Wasingishu. Uasin Gishu, which county do you think is lagging behind? Uasin Gishu or Bomet?
Nairobi.
Nairobi. Ladies and gentlemen, this is interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, in position 7, and this is just halfway of the session today. We'll give you the results towards the end. But in position 7, give it up for Nairobi. Nairobi is the one that is. You guys are right, Nairobi. And in position 6, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for position 7 is Nairobi. And in position 6 is Bomet University. Bomet are at position 6. And in position 5, we have Turkana University. And position 4, there is none other than Eldoret. And in position 3, we have Niger. And in position 2, we have Machakos. And the group that is leading is Laikipia University in position 1. So, ladies and gentlemen, so that is the scoreboard. I will be projecting at the end of the session how this is going up. But give it up for Niger. Niger are very competitive. They have even defeated Nairobi. For the team at the University of Nairobi, that is where our guest facilitator is an alumni. I am an alumni. Engineer Mike, our CEO, is an alumni. And you guys are right at the heart of the capital city of Nairobi. Please improve and pull up your socks, Team Nairobi. That is not a good representation of our capital city. So, but remember Nairobi also to encourage you. This is a competition and we are on a journey. It does not mean Laikipia is leading or Machakos is leading. It's number 2 or Niger number 3. It is a competition. You still have an opportunity to catch up. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember we are on a competition. Turkana University, we can. Clinton, pull up your socks, my friend. Pull up your socks in Lodwar. You can show these guys, I'm in an Asal County, but we are going to win this. So just to encourage you to continue doing this. So we'll be, yes.
I think the part that we were missing is where we need to hear chants.
Yes, I can see we'll hear chants at the end of the session. I want to return back to studio so that we can finish within the next 30 minutes so that we can transition the next 15 minutes towards the end at 5:30 to 5:45. So I'll give it back to Russell for about 30 minutes to take us through the second session. But when we come back, we shall do the chants, and then we shall be able to, I'll project the scoreboard. And as we plan for next week, we shall be able to see how best to go about this. So, ladies and gentlemen, Musa from Bomet University, you still have an opportunity. So let me return this to the studio. If you have a chat box, if you have a question, write on the chat box. Mr. Russell will address before he winds up. So back to you, the studio.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ian. Somebody needs to give the guys in the University of Nairobi some Red Bull or something somewhere. They are really making us feel ashamed. All right, thank you. I'm beginning to see questions coming in, and please bring them so that we can begin to answer them. So this next session, for probably the next 20-25 minutes, we will be looking at some of the simple strategies and practical ways that we can begin to address some of these issues within our environment. All right, so let me pick one question and begin with that. Victor Kiprono asked, how does climate change affect biodiversity? Now, for those of you who understand what biodiversity means, layman language, biodiversity is the independent, interdependent existence and coexistence of everything within an environment. And so, ideally, when you affect one area of environment, it affects the dependency of the other. Let me give you an example. Now, where I work, we split the environment into 5 different pockets, and we give them biblical names. And so we say God's trees, God's water, God's insects and animals, God's trees and plants, God's water, God's insects and animals, God's land, and God's people. And we consider these 5 as the landmark areas for our discussions on environmental matters, how they interact and their existence and coexistence speaks for the biodiversities. And so you can have biodiversity within a biodiversity. So trees interact with human beings. Trees interacts with water, interacts with the animals, interacts with the land. But among the trees themselves, we have varieties. We have genuses, we have species, we have families of trees that differ. And so those differences are the biodiversities. And so climate change is the increase in atmospheric temperatures, and which comes as a breakdown of a hallmark in the environment. When I say hallmark, I mean God's trees. So as soon as trees are cut, temperatures begins to raise. And when temperatures begin to raise, we begin to lose water by evaporation. Animals that used to live in certain cold areas now can no longer, so we are losing habitat. Trees that prefer colder regions begins to disappear, and another invasive species begins to come in. So that is how climate change begins to affect biodiversity negatively. Climate change speaks for the change in rainfall patterns, the erratic and large quantities of rains in different parts, like in Kenya. Last year, a time like this, we were having some very heavy deluges of rain. Some of you saw in the news, Kijabe had serious mudslides and dams breaking their banks. And so that is how climate change begins to affect our environment. Mike has asked, what steps have you taken to enhance environmental conservation? I'll be talking about that in a short while. What I want to do is to give us just manageable, simple strategies that you and I can use in different places. We talked about the problems of the environment or environmental degradation. And so I'll be touching on a few of some of what I have used within my project area to try and bring some of this change. Clinton is asking Brian from Turkana, so I don't know if I should answer this, but Clinton is asking Brian from Turkana, what are the effects of plastic pollution on marine terrestrial ecosystem? So maybe Brian will answer that sometime, but let me say this. As we speak right now, as of 2025, a study by FAO has shown that the ratio of plastic to fish in the ocean is 1:2, meaning you have 1 plastic for every 2 fish. Now, that one postulated, they are suggesting that by 2050, the ratio will be 1:1, meaning the chance of you dragging out plastic rather than fish when you go fishing from our water bodies will be a 50-50 chance. And so the plastic pollution in the waters is rising astronomically. And the effects are that we are losing fish and fish varieties. We are losing the marine ecosystems. We are having a breakdown of fresh waters and freshwater lakes. I mean, for those of you who are coming from Siaya, when you go to the waters of Lake Victoria, one of the things that you will find there are actually 2 pollutants, 2 main pollutants: disposable masks and pampas that are in the lakes. That one chases away our fish. Let me use a bit of local language. Nowadays, to find fuadi, to find ngege, and I'm sure some of you, I'm even speaking in Greek because you may not even know the albino tilapia is no longer there, the white tilapia. And so we are losing the fish, we are losing the freshness of our waters, we are losing tourism attractions because of plastic pollution. Right here in Kenya, or even right here in Nairobi, for those of you who can take some time out and go and visit Nairobi River, you will be seriously shocked. And so, just to answer that, Clinton, that is how we are being affected. What about the greenhouse effect? Greenhouse effect ideally talks about the rising temperatures due to climate change. That is to try and answer Felix Omondi's question. And so, as the temperature rise, we were just chatting with I think it was with Ian and Mike today, that the sun, it feels like the sun is closer to the earth today. It is so hot out there. And as the greenhouse effect continues to rise, meaning we are losing the ozone layer, very soon we'll begin to have what is called sun scorches, like what is almost killing people in some parts of America. And so we must try to address. The continent of Africa is still privileged. And so we must try to address what we have. So Musa from Bomet, what are the effects? What are the most effective ways individuals can contribute to environmental conservation? I'll be talking about that in a short while. Dominic from Turkana, what are the most effective adaptation strategies for regions most vulnerable to climate change, such as coastal areas and arid lands? I think we'll be talking about that in a short while. So I was trying to answer some of these questions. You can keep sending the questions, and so that we can answer them as we go by. Now, some of the simple strategies that I have used among the communities that I have. Now, let me say this. I work around the Rift Valley region, and especially the Mai Mahiu, Longonot, Suswa region. For those of you who have ever visited those regions, these are very dry places. They can receive only one rain. And when I mean one rain per year, I mean exactly that. It rains once, and that is it for the whole year. Maybe there's somebody coming from that area. It normally gets dry. On Monday, while I was doing some of my field visits, I looked at our temperature gauge and we were running 37 degrees Celsius. I don't know if you know what 37 looks like, but 37 is hot. And so it is hot, it is windy, and it is dry. And so some of the strategies that I have been able to put in play are fivefold. One, when it comes to land use, farming, because one of the major, according to the United Nations Environmental Program, one of the major contributors to land degradation is poor agricultural practices. And so one of the strategies that I have been able to use successfully in a very dry area is what we call farming God's way. I'll talk about that in a short while. Farming God's way. This is a system of farming that improves your soil. So for those of you who have heard of conservation agriculture, so farming God's way is conservation agriculture with a strong biblical view. All right? So in farming God's way, we consider God as the first farmer, and we begin to copy him and what he does in the environment and replicate it in our farms. Have you ever asked yourself why the forests never run dry? Because God is farming there. If you want to learn, you must read from him. Let me say this. God wrote 2 books. One is the Bible, and the other one is environment. You can see his signature in the environment. And so you can learn from what God is doing in the environment and simulate it, as it were, on your farm. Secondly, we advocate aggressively indigenous tree planting and caring. Indigenous tree planting and caring. Many of you will know that indigenous trees have great potential of surviving the adverse effects of their particular region. Kenya has over 1,000 indigenous species that are very beneficial. Some of them are medicinal, some of them are good for wood, some of them are good for building, some of them are good for different activity. For those of you who would like to know, Kenya is actually the home of mahogany. Kenya is a home for sandalwood, some very expensive wood qualities are in Kenya. And so the acacia are some of the prides of Kenya. And so we advocate for indigenous tree planting and care. I'm using my words carefully so that we can all understand. It's important for you to know the indigenous trees of your area and encourage them to grow. Some of them are so linked to our social and cultural structures. I don't know if we have a Maasai online. If you're there, please lift. Just show me, raise your hand. Let me see. I don't know if we have a Maasai. Do we have a Maasai online? I'm not seeing any hand raised, so I can assume we don't. But the Maasai have a tree that is loosely called the judgment tree. The wood or the sticks from that tree are used to decide cultural cases. And so when you bring a case to the eldership, that stick will remain standing. When it falls down, the issue is decided. And so when it comes to matters of marriage, they will pick that stick and stand in front of a herd of cows, throw it, and they will look for the best hand to throw it. Where it will fall, all the cows between the thrower and the stick are the bride price. You can see how important indigenous trees are. We have trees that were used as natural soaps. We have trees that are used for insecticides and pesticides. We have trees that have been used for ages as fencing posts, like the red cedar, which is a pride of Kenya. It can be used for poles that can stand in the ground for over 50 years without being eaten by termites or rotting easily. And so these are indigenous trees, and planting them in the area of adaptability begins to answer the question of how you can conserve your environment in places like the arid and semi-arid areas. And so these are the strategies. Somebody is asking, how can we ensure that tree planting is effectively done in arsal areas? Listen to the words I'm using. We encourage indigenous tree planting and care. In Swahili wanasema, I'm sorry for the guys in Niger, I'll try to interpret. Waswahili wanasema kuzaa si kazi, kazi ni kulea. Directly translated for the guys in Niger, giving birth is not the work. The work is taking care of the child. So effective planting of trees means you plant indigenous and you take care. Every tree requires at least 1 year of care before you can leave it. And so when after you've planted it, you need to water it once every week, 20 liters of water. You need to feed it, give it enough composted manure or compost material. You need to protect it from animals that would like to eat it. You need to protect it from people who do not care. You need to keep looking at it. And then after 1 year, then it has set and you can now let it continue growing. That is part of care. And so effective growing of trees for environmental conservation and change has to do with you choosing the right trees for the right places and taking good care of them. We call that aftercare. All right. So number 3, I've talked about farming God's way shortly, indigenous tree planting and care. We also talk about water conservation. These are practical things that you can do. For tree planting, I know ICL has targets for tree planting, and I trust that they will be working with many of us to reach the targets of tree plantings in areas. But if there is a great service you can do for this country, is to plant trees, and plant good trees and take care of them. But you can also give yourself targets. Like this year, how many trees have you planted? And when I say trees, indigenous trees. How many trees? Give yourself a target. When you go back home for holidays, plant 2 trees. Let them continue growing. In Kenya, we have a constitutional provision of having our lands, at least 2% of all our lands should be forested. And so think about your 1 acre, 2% of that planted to trees, whether it is fruit trees, timber trees, medicinal trees, beauty trees. Just do what you can do. Number 3, water conservation. We can all agree that we are limited in water. Rains are not coming as they should, and they're not coming in the quantities they should. What can you do? Get tanks. Put tanks around your home. Dig boreholes. Dig surface ponds or dams. Use better ways of irrigation. Don't be spreading water to the wind. Yes, try and use better ways. There is what is called bottle irrigation, using bottles that can stay in the soil and feed your plant water for over a week. Use better growing strategies like tower gardens so that you're not wasting water. You're keeping water. Do not let taps running. For those of you who like to brush your teeth and you're letting the tap run while you're brushing your teeth, don't lose that water. It is so important. I wish you knew how people in Northeastern would love to have that water. And so conserve your water. Don't just be pouring water. One water use is a benefit for the other. And so once you've used your water in the kitchen, don't just go and pour it away. You can filter that water and use it in your plants. Simple strategies for your water. Ensure your water is not polluted. Every time you walk around, one time we went to Lake Nakuru and we walked around the lake picking plastic. And in 10 minutes, we were able to pick 15 kgs worth of plastic. We were about 20 people. And so build awareness of proper farming technologies. Build awareness also of tree planting. Engage yourself in tree planting. Engage yourself in water conservation. Use as much water as you want. You go into the bathroom, you put on the shower, and you just let it run while you're singing. I was about to say a certain song, but let me leave it. So while you're singing your songs in a simple karaoke, and you're not bathing, and you stay there for 1 hour, I mean, you're wasting water. Conserve water, simple strategies. Number four, take care of your animals and insects. One of the key players in the environment are bees. And I am engaged in beekeeping as well as in the project. Beekeeping is one of those interesting. Albert Einstein once said that if bees disappeared from the face of the planet, human life had only 4 years to live. And so if we all run out of bees, we only have 4 years and we will all be dead. So, I mean, bees are more important than COVID, more important than anything you can imagine. Actually, it's been said, every 3 bites of your food is made possible by bees. Think about it. They are great players in pollination. And pollination is what brings about seed and plant propagations. Now, when these players are out, immediately we begin to face strange circumstances. How many of you have ever gone to a maize plantation or have taken a maize cob and then you've noticed it is half full with maize? It means there were no bees. It's not that it was diseased or lacked water. There were no bees. And so take care of your animals. I like the scripture, Proverbs 12:10. It says, a good man takes care of the welfare of his animals. Do not overpopulate animals within a small area. Do not keep 150 goats in a small meter square area. You are even denying them the pleasure of life. And so take care of your animals and take care of your insects. An awareness for this is so important. And so I encourage all of us to look at it more keenly. They are part of the environment. All right. In addition of a strategy on good water usage, let us employ recycling of water. For instance, water used to rinse clothes can also be used house cleaning from Bomet University. Thank you so much, James Nyasinge. I think I mentioned that. Thank you. We are in the same mind. What innovative solutions can be implemented to reduce carbon emissions on a large scale? I'll be coming back. Caroline Chelagat, Bomet University. I will be coming back to Farming God's Way in a short while, and I will show you what that looks like. All right, so insects and animals. And then fifthly, people. People. Creating awareness of the environmental problems that we are facing is one of the greatest strategies and the most important, because the culprits in environmental degradation are actually people. People who are not, either do not know or are less concerned about anything about environment and environmental conservation. And so creating an awareness right from your home. Let your child know, or your sister or your brother or your dad or your mom know where to dispose plastic. Let them know that they should not leave the environment unclean. Starting with you. I mean, including just making your bed. I'm talking to the guys in campus. Including making your bed. It is an environmental activity. Just simple strategies like those, making people aware, going to schools that are nearby, having a plastic collection day. When I worked in Tanzania, they used to have days called Mazingira Days, or environmental days, or environmental weeks. And it would be a week long where people would be given some time off of work to go and clean the environment, pick up, and everyone would be out there, including the president, to pick up. One of the cleanest cities around East Africa is Rwanda, where President Paul Kagame has really encouraged cleanliness in Rwanda. The second one is Moshi in Tanzania. Very clean, very clean. I remember one time we were traveling from Kenya to Tanzania with my new wife. And then when we got to Moshi, one of the passengers of the bus we were on decided to jump up and to answer the call of nature. While he was answering the call of nature, the police picked him, and that is how his journey ended. They were not police, they were actually walikuwa wanaitwa askari usafi, something like that. And the guy was picked and the bus was told to go. That guy was taken to prison for answering the call of nature on the side of a bush around Moshi town. How many times have you answered the call of nature on campus? How many times have you answered the call of nature on campus? And so simple strategies like those, don't chew bubble gum and stick it on the chair. Don't just eat biscuits in the bus going home and you throw the plastic off the window. Simple strategies like those, and creating awareness along those lines, building up communities of people, bringing together young people. And I know ICL has interesting strategies along this line, building up communities of people, going into polluted areas and working with those people. All right. Let me come back to Farming God's Way, and then I think Ian, my time will be up. I can welcome a few questions. I've been trying to answer the questions as I go. What are the key strategies? This is Musa. What are the key strategies for combating deforestation? We have 2 in Kijabe. 1, forest policy. So putting up guards to protect forests. Areas where forests were, you put up guards, or you can even encourage a group of young people to become forest guards. You don't need to even plant the trees. They will begin to grow back themselves. And you will find that your forests are being afforested. The other strategy is definitely planting trees in areas where there were forests. All right, Caroline, carbon emissions coming from our depleted carbon sources. One of the strategies that we have used is farming God's way. And the principles of farming God's way are in no plowing, agroforestry, complete covering of the land, and non-use of aggressive agrochemicals. Some of these go a long way in curbing carbon emissions at the ground level. I know that as we talk of carbon emissions, these are being discussed on much higher tables. UNEP is discussing them, World Health Organization is discussing them, and they are providing much macro solutions. I'm giving you on-ground solutions. And ideally, it is to try and reduce emissions of aggressive chemicals into the air. And some of them are emitted by poor agricultural practices, poor mining strategies, industrial pollution and pollutants going into the air. And so ideally, in farming God's way, the simple strategies are to ensure that carbon, water, and nutrients, rather than being dispelled, are sequestered into and held into the soil. Right, my time is up. If there is anyone with any question, I'm so grateful for your engagement, and I'm so grateful for all of you. I am praying that when many of you come out of college, you will be so engaged in environmental conservation activities, and I trust that it will go a long way in slowing down some of the problems we have. All right, Ian, back to you.
Thank you, Russell. Thank you so much for that wonderful session on environment. I think, have you been able to take some questions, Russell? Or I can see you answering some.
Yes.
Good. Just a request. There was the farming God's way, the 5 principles, and
Yes.
maybe the verses where you draw the lessons from. Did you mention that?
Well, I did not mention the verses from where I draw the lessons from. I don't know if I have the time now.
Yeah, I can see it's 5:20. You have until 5:30, then you can hand over. If you could do
Okay.
that, then
Okay.
that would.
So farming God's way is a farming strategy that is centrally rooted in the Bible. And so the principles of farming God's way include no plowing. No plowing is one of them. And you will notice that God is not plowing in the environment. God is not plowing in the environment. And when you read the book of Leviticus, I think I'll need to refer. The book of Leviticus, the chapter is 19. You will find some of the principles that God uses there, which includes not planting your soil with 2 different seeds, leaving your soil fallow, meaning let it enjoy the Sabbath, not engaging the soil so adversely. The use of different seed or different activities. So if you get some time, please just read through Leviticus 19, read through Deuteronomy 25, and I trust that those will be some basis of your activities. Now, let me say this. They are not just 5 principles. There are more than 5 principles. Farming God's Way will need another day for discussions. So for now, just work with Leviticus 19 and Deuteronomy 25. You will see what some of the wonderful principles of Farming God's Way that are running within there.
Thank you, Russell. Let's give it up for Russell, the different universities. Thank you, Russell. That has been quite a very helpful session. We've been able to get a lot. And now, because, thank you. I can see the students are clapping and give it up for just showing that they've been able to learn. They are doing that by a lot of emojis going through the screen, up my screen, them highlighting. Thank you, Felix. Thank you, Asanteni-san. I've been, even the team in Niger, thank you for joining, and I hope this was an informative session. So I'll go on to the next, before we go now to the scoreboard. There's what we call the session evaluation. Now, I've dumped that on the chat box. Let me do it. There's another form for us to be able to evaluate the session. So kindly use that session, and it's a competition still. We'll be tracking and looking at which county is giving more information or information on the session. Kindly let's do the session evaluation, because that's very important for us to be able to rate the session and be able to analyze on what new knowledge are we gathering, so that we can be able to continue from there. Now, thank you, the different students. Kindly, the county officers ensure that they have evaluated the session before they leave, and we will be doing this and also getting the university that is leading. Mwaka, which university is leading as we do the evaluation for today's session? Mwaka, you've shared with me the scoreboard.
The updated. I've shared the updated the updated scoreboard.
Yes, you shared with me the updated scoreboard. I've been able to see it. Just in a few, I'll be able to be projecting it here. But there's some marks for the group chants. So kindly, the different universities, can we get ready? Get ready. You can see even I'm in the mood for just getting up and being able to chant. We'll be able to hear the different chants in the different universities. Then we shall award the marks for chants. And also, as you do the evaluation, we shall be able to see which universities cooperating, and they are doing that together as a team. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the team in Niger, I think you are ready. Now we're going to do the chant. The chant is, you remember the 2 groups? I had Susan. Susan, how are you in Niger? I can hear your back. Susan, how are you? Susan? Susan? Okay, I think they'll be able to hear us as we continue. The different teams, we'll start with Laikipia, the leading team. Laikipia, can you unmute your mic? How are you, team Laikipia? Team Laikipia. Laikipia? James, why you?
Yes.
Now I want to hear Team Laikipia in a count of 1. I want to hear your chant. Your chant as Laikipia University. Then Mwaka will be hearing this and awarding the teams the marks for group chants so that you can complete the score. So, Laikipia University, over to you.
1, 2, 3, start.
Together we rise. Together we rise. Together we win.
I sijasikia kitu Laikipia. What are you doing, bana? What? Together?
Together we rise. Together we fight. Together we win.
Thank you, Team Laikipia University. Mwaka Machakos, where are you people? And Wamasaku, watu wa Machakos. You can unmute.
Yes, Ian, we are getting you loud and clear here in Machakos University with the team. And we want to give our chant. We are going to say the group name and we say the chant. So the team, are you ready? Are you ready? Yes. What is our group name? What is our group name? What is our chant? What is our chant? And thank you, back to you here.
Thank you, Machakos University. Thank you. And let's go to now Uasin Gishu County.
Yes, we have a team here from Uasin Gishu County. Okay, on 3, 2, 1. What is our group name? What is our group name? And what is our group chant? Yes, we can. Yeah, that is it from Uasin Gishu. Eldoret.
Thank you, Team Uasin Gishu. Yes, you can. Asante. Uasin Gishu County. Team Bomet. Where are you, Team Bomet? Let's hear from Bomet University College.
Yes, here we are, Team Bomet. Are you ready? Yes. Are you ready? Yes. What is your group name? We are the Eagles. What is your group name? We are the Eagles. What is the group chant? We fly higher. What is the group chant? We fly higher.
Thank you. Hey, Team Bomet. Team Bomet have done a good job, but I'll be able to award this as we go on. Team Bomet. Thank you, Team Bomet. Let's go to Team Turukana. Turkana. If Turkana not ready, let's go to Nairobi. So Turkana, 0 marks for Mini. Go ahead, Colin. Clinton, go ahead. Sorry. We can't hear you, Clinton. We can't hear you guys.